Hello everyone. We begin in Beijing this hour, where legal authorities from the Communist Party of China are briefing the media on building higher standard rule of law here in China.
Conference held by the Press Center for the 20th CPC National Congress. Today, we are honored to have 5 delegates with us to share their views on the topic of, under the guidance of Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law, strive to build higher standard rule of law in China. They will also take up your questions. They are Mr. Yin Bai, Deputy Secretary General of the Commission of Political and Legal Affairs of the CPC Central Committee, Ms. Rong, Deputy Secretary of the CPC Party Leadership Group of the Supreme People's Court, Executive Vice President and Grand Justice of the first rank, Mr. Tong Jianming, Deputy Secretary of the Party Leadership Group of the Supreme People's Procuratorate, First Deputy Prosecutor General and Grand Prosecutor of the first rank, Mr. Ganlu, member of the CPC Committee of the Ministry of Public Security and Vice Minister, Secretary of the Party Leadership Group of the National Immigration Administration and Administrator, and Ms. Zuo Li, member of the Party Leadership Group of the Ministry of Justice and Vice Minister. Now let me give the floor to Mr. Yin Bai. Dear friends from the press, good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here today. The report to the 20th CPC National Congress reaches important conclusions and lays out the plan for deepening the rule of law in China. This points the direction for exercising law-based governance on all fronts and establishing China as a socialist country under the rule of law in the new era. In his report, General Secretary Xi Jinping mentioned the term rule of law 23 times, showing the importance the party attaches to this field of work. Now please allow me to share some information in 3 aspects. First of all, Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law makes ingenious contribution to the Marxist theories on the rule of law. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, General Secretary Xi Jinping, as a Marxist statesman and a strategic thinker, with profound insight and theoretical ingenuity, has focused on exercising law-based governance on all fronts. A question of our times, crystallized the quintessential elements of ancient and modern thought on the rule of law in China and beyond, and proposed a series of new philosophies, ideas, and strategies that are strategic, action-oriented, truthful, and enlightening, forming the Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law. This is the most important defining outcome of the development of the rule of law in China since the 18th CPC National Congress. It is the most comprehensive, systematic, and scientific system of thoughts on the rule of law proposed by the party in its 100-year history, and the most original theory on the rule of law in Marxism of contemporary China and the 21st century. It is of great significance for developing socialist rule of law with Chinese characteristics. As for its significance, we can look at it from the following aspects. Politically, Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law provide scientific guidance for advancing law-based governance on all fronts in a deep-going way in the new era. Theoretically, it is another historic leap in adapting Marxist theories on the rule of law to the Chinese context and to the modern times. Action-wise, it brings about historic transformation and achievements in comprehensively advancing law-based governance in the new era. From a historical perspective, it is a creative evolution and innovative development of the fine traditional Chinese culture. Second, Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law guides us in opening up new horizons in advancing the rule of law in China. The CPC Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, makes exercising law-based governance an integral part. We have made in-depth progress in promoting a socialist system with Chinese characteristics. We have convened for the first time a central conference on the rule of law, strict observance of the law, and the society-wide awareness of the rule of law has transfused strong momentum in advancing the rule of law in China. Second, we are promoting and implementing the guidelines for implementing the rule of law in all aspects. The government, society, and the country under rule of law is basically in shape. The top-level design has been gradually improved to make it more holistic, coherent, and systematic. The rule of law system with Chinese characteristics is being built with more progress. A well-developed legal system, rigorous implementation system, and strong oversight system is in place. We have also improved the intra-party legal system. By the end of September 2022, we have put in place 293 pieces of laws, 598 administrative rules, 13,000 localized regulations. In the past 10 years, we promulgated and amended 159 pieces of central inter-party regulations. We have made major progress in reforming the judicial system. The judicial system and mechanisms underwent historic transformation, systematic reshaping, and overall restructuring. 85% of human resources in judicial organs are directly handling cases, increasing the per capita number of cases handled by 20%. The number of closed cases rose 18%. In 98% of the cases, the sentences given in the first and second instance of judgment were served and not appealed. Judicial quality, efficiency, and trustworthiness continuously improved. Stronger protection has been provided for social fairness and justice. The support mechanisms for making sure all are equal before the law have become more robust. The guarantee for human rights with the rule of law is stronger. Law enforcement has become more strict, procedure-based, impartial, and civil, effectively ensuring that the people enjoy a wide range of rights and freedoms within the confines of law and fulfill their due obligations. Third, following the guidance of Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law and advancing the rule of law in China in the new era, we will further study and implement the spirit of the 20th CPC National Congress, derive great energy from Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law in comprehensively advancing law-based governance, and translate it into fine practices so as to enable higher standard rule of law in China. Going forward, we will focus on the 4 areas. Improve the socialist legal system with Chinese characteristics with the Constitution at its core. The Constitution is the fundamental law of a country, the general statutes for governance. It is important to comprehensively enhance its implementation, conduct better constitutional oversight, and truly uphold its sanctity and authority. We must follow the Constitution as the overriding law make deep-going efforts to make laws in a well-conceived and democratic way and in accordance with the law. We will step up legislation in key, emerging and foreign-related fields and pay more attention to incorporating core socialist values in order to make the Chinese system of socialist rule of law more scientific, well-developed, coherent, and authoritative. Second, make solid progress in promoting law-based government administration. Building a law-based government is a key task, a major part of comprehensively advancing law-based governance. We will advance structural reform in administrative law enforcement, refine the system for the administrative decision-making, roll out a large-scale the list of government powers and responsibilities, and the mechanism for setting the standards for administrative discretion, and enhance oversight mechanisms and oversight capacity. We will set rules and limits for administrative powers with the rule of law and speed up our efforts to build a government administration system which has clearly defined responsibilities and exercise its powers in accordance with the law. Third, ensure strict and impartial administration of justice. Fairness and justice is the soul and life of the administration of law. We will continuously deepen comprehensive and integrated reform of the judicial system, better assign judicial powers, and expedite the efforts to build this new system for the discharge of judicial powers that is scientific, reasonable, standard-based, orderly, and matches powers with responsibilities. We will develop a system that enables the investigative, procuratorial, judicial, and enforcing organs to coordinate with and check against one another. Procuratorial organs will step up legal oversight in the new era. All links and procedures of judicial activities will be subject to effective oversight so that the people will see fairness and justice in action in every legal case. Fourth, step up efforts to establish the rule of law throughout society. Only when the entire people believe in and follow strictly the rule of law can a country and society truly operate on the tracks of the rule of law. We will improve the modern public legal service system, implement the 8th five-year plan for legal literacy education, and champion the spirit of socialist rule of law. Leading officials will play an exemplary role and work hard to make respecting, learning about, observing, and applying law a common pursuit and voluntary choice of the whole population, so as to enhance the rule of law in the governance of society. This is my opening remark. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yin Bai. Now the floor is open for questions. Before asking your question, please identify your media affiliation.
好，那个东区前排右起第二位记者提问。
好，谢谢主持人。新华社记者提问。党的20大报告强调要牢牢把握、坚持以人民为中心的发展思想这一重大原则。我想请问，人民法院下一步在践行司法公正、司法为民方面有哪些
？What new ideas and initiatives does the court have in practicing justice for the people?
好，那这个问题我来回答。首先啊，感谢记者朋友们长期以来
I'll take this question. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your long-term support for the work of the People's Court.
新时代的10年来啊，人民法院
10 years into the new era,
法治思想，努力让人民群众
the
在每一
People's
个
Court
司法
have
案件
been
中感受到
practicing
公平正义。
Xi Jinping
这
thought
里啊
on
有
the
历
rule of
史
law
数据，
and ensuring fairness and justice in every
案件
judicial
数量
case.
啊，从2013
The number of
年的
cases rose from
1421.7 万件
14.2 million in 2013 to
21
over
年的3351.6万件，
33.5 million in 2021, and the value of
将近
cases
50万亿元。
concluded was nearly 50 trillion yuan.
那么刚刚啊，英百副秘书长提到，
Just
在这个
now,
过程中我们的
Mr.
司
Yin
法公信力不断的提升。
briefed us on the
我们在
progress
坚决维
of
护国家安全
improved
和社会
judicial
稳定，
accountability
在服务社会
And the People's Court have been achieving the following achievements on safeguarding national security, social stability, safeguarding legitimate rights and interests of the people, serving the economic and social high-quality development, on advancing judicial justice, and deepening judicial system reform. Significant progress could be seen across the board. It is stated in the party's in the report to the 20th Party Congress that an impartial judiciary is the last line of defense for social fairness and justice, which is a clear guideline for advancing judicial justice. And in your question, you said people-centered approach was one of the focus of the report. Indeed. In the next step, the People's Court will continue to earnestly follow through on the Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law, fulfill our due responsibilities, and fully implement the decisions and plans of the party's 20th Congress, uphold the party leadership, put people first, and adhere to the path of advancing socialist rule of law with Chinese characteristics, and provide solid judicial services to advancing China's major endeavors. To put it specifically, we will coordinate development and security and advance the rule of law to punish crime, protect the people, settle disputes, and resolve conflicts. We perform the duties of safeguarding national political security, ensuring social stability, promoting social justice, and guaranteeing people's well-being, so as to better serve and advance the Chinese modernization. Second, we'll bear in mind the country's top priorities and serve the country's economic and social high-quality development. We'll earnestly and faithfully and comprehensively implement the new development philosophy, facilitate the building of the new pattern of development, and as we continue to provide solid judicial service, we'll continue to provide equal protection to all enterprises, state-owned and non-state-owned, domestic and foreign, large, medium, small, and micro, and strengthen judicial protection on property rights, intellectual property right, and created a market-oriented, world-class business environment governed by a sound legal framework. We'll provide tailored services to maintain stability in 6 key areas and protection in the 6 priority areas, and effectively resolve administrative disputes. We will continue to protect the ecological environment with the strictest system and the most stringent rule of law. We'll also continue to serve the high standard opening up, and continue to provide targeted services for the implementation of major national strategies identified in the party's 20th Congress. To facilitate high-quality development. Third, we'll continue to safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of the people in accordance with law, enforce the civil code, and ensure the people's livelihoods and handle the cases concerning education, employment, pension, housing, marriage, and family, and overcome the difficulties in enforcing basic resolutions and consolidate the progress we've achieved. We'll continue to uphold impartial justice, correct wrongful cases in accordance with law, uphold core socialist values, and substantively resolve disputes and serve common prosperity. Accept oversight and practice whole process people's democracy. Fifth, we'll deepen judicial system reform and faithfully implement the judicial accountability. and
每一个司法案件中感受到
ensure that the
公平
people can
正义
see clearer in every judicial case that justice is
这个
served.
努力把党的20大部署的加快建设公正、高效、权威的社会主义司法
And
制度落实。
Facilitate the building of a fair, efficient, and authoritative socialist judicial
请继
system.
续提
Thank
问
you.。
请中区第2排右起第1位女士提问。
好，谢谢主持人。中央广播电视总
With
台央视记者
CCTV
提问。我们注意到习近平总书记
General
在党的
Secretary
20
Xi
大的报告中
Jinping
郑重
stated in the report to the 20th Party Congress that a comprehensive framework for law-based governance has taken shape. What are the measures taken by the Ministry of Justice in promoting the comprehensive law-based governance and the judicial administration in the new era? Are they effective? What are the other considerations for the future? Thank you.
好，谢谢你的提问，我来回答。
Thank you very much
习
for
近
the
平总书记
question.
在党的20大报告中指出，
In the
社会
report
主
to
义
the
法治国家建设
20th
深入
Party
推进，
Congress,
全面依法治国的总体格局基本形成。这也是党的18大以来
that
党中央全面推进
the
依法治国
comprehensive
工作的
framework for
取得的
law-based governance
重
has
大成
taken
就。
shape. This is
那么在推进
one
的
of the
新
most
时代
important
全面依法治
milestones
国
achieved
和
by the
司法
party
行
over the
政
past
工作中
decade.
呢，我们将始终坚持
We'll continue
新时代
to
中国特
uphold
色社会主义
the
思
Xi
想
Jinping
和
thought
指导，
on
深入
socialism
学
with
习
Chinese
贯彻习近
characteristics,
平法治思想。
follow through on Xi
我们
Jinping
将
thought
重
on
点
the rule of
聚焦
law,
在一个统筹4大职能，
focus on the
一个统
coordination
筹
of
就是
advancing the rule of
统筹
law
全面依法治国工
and
作。我们
complete
已经推动一规划2纲要顶层设计
the
的
top-level
基
design
本
of
完成。
one
一规划
plan
就是
and
刚才
two
提到的法
outlines.
治中国建设规划。2纲要
plan
呢
is the
就
plan
是
to
法治政府建
build
设实施
China
纲要
based
和
on the
法
rule
治
of
社
law,
会
and two
实施
outlines
纲要。
are
这一规
on
划2纲要
building
将对全面
a
推进
law-based
法治
society and
国家、
law-based
法治政府、
administrative
法治社会一
administration.
体建设。
This will help to
那么
serve the
4大职
integrated
能呢，我们
development
是
of
这个
advancing
主
the
要
rule of
是
law
行
and
政
law-based
立法、
governance in
行
China.
政执法、刑事执行和公共法律服
And
务。
we will focus on four
聚焦这4
functions
大
of
职能，
administrative
将进一步扎
legislation,
实推进
administrative
司法行
enforcement,
政
criminal
工作取
enforcement,
得
public
新的
legal
成效。
services to pursue solid progress in judicial administration.
具体来讲呢，第一是加快完善依法行政的制度体系，
First,
行政立法工作将展现
We
新的作为。
accelerated the improvement of the system of law-based administration in accordance with law and achieved new progress in administrative legislation. We advanced legislation in science-based, democratic, and law-based manner, promote the enactment and revision of a number of important and administrative regulations,
专项的清理工作，
such as the one on improving business environment and the review regulations and rules so as to provide strong legal protection for the
第
development
二
of
点
the
就是
party and
切
the
实推
state.
进严格
Second,
规范
We
公正的
effectively
文明执法
promoted strict and fair law
行政执法
enforcement
协调
and
监督将开启新的篇
opened
章。
a new chapter in the coordination
全面推
supervision
行
of
行政执法的
administrative law
3项制度改
enforcement.
革，
The
就指
three
的是
systems
行政
of
执法的公示制度
administrative law
行政执
enforcement,
法的全过程记录制度，重大执法决
namely
定的
the
法治审
systems
核制度，
about
这3项
the
制度的改
whole
革。
process
我们将加快推进
review
省、
and
市、
supervision
县、乡4级行政执法协调监督工作
and the
实践
construction of a four-level administrative law enforcement coordination
我
and
们首
supervision
次统
system
一了
at
全国
provincial,
行政执法的证件
city,
标准样
county,
式
and
以
township
及6
levels
支综合行政执法
was
队伍的
exhilarated.
制式服装、执
For
法
the
标
first
志
time, the pattern of administrative law enforcement documents and the uniform and law enforcement logo of the 6 comprehensive administrative law enforcement teams were unified
同时呢，加
nationwide.
强了行政复议的监
21,000
督。
certificate
10
items
年
were
来，各
cancelled
级
to
行
provide
政复议
convenience
机
to
关
the
办
people.
理了行政复议案
We
件
also strengthened
190多万
administrative
件
review and supervision.
案件的纠错率平均达到13.6%，也推动了
13.6% of administrative cases were reviewed and corrected at all levels, promoting a significant improvement of law-based
实质
administration.
执行工作将迈
Third,
向新的台阶。
supervision and management were strengthened
我
in
们推进
accordance
了
with
监狱
law,
工作的标准
and
化、
criminal
规范化、
enforcement
法治化
took a
建
new
设，
step forward.
全面
We
排查
promoted
减
the
刑
law-based
展示
progress of
在监牢
prison
执行
work
的
and
案件
comprehensively
健全案件
reviewed
办理的
cases
责任
of
制
sentence reduction, parole, and provisional
强化
release
制
from
度的
prison.
刚性约束，
We improved the system
重拳
for
整治
handling
违法
cases
违
and
纪
dealt
问题
with disciplinary issues with a heavy
我们还
hand.
推动制定实施了社区矫
We
正法，
promoted
加
the
强对社区矫正工作
formulation
的
and implementation of the
监督管理
community correction law, strengthened the supervision of community correction, and made every effort to maintain national
第四
security
点
and
是
social
坚持
stability.
法治为民宗旨，
Fourth,
公共法律服
we
务
adhere to
实
the
现
people-centered
新的
rule of law and pushed for new breakthroughs in public legal
基本
services.
建成了覆盖城
We
商的公共
promoted
法
the
律服务网
completion
络
of
目
a
前呢
public
全
legal
国已经
service
建成了
network
实体的
covering
平台有
urban
57
and
万
rural areas. About
有60多万个村和社区成立了法律顾问
570,000 platforms have been
那么服务
established
热线呢
across
设置
China,
了2000多个座席，
and
我
over
们已经
2,000
全
seats
面
for
落
hotline.
实完成了75普法规划。
We have fully
目前呢，
implemented
已经正
the
在
seventh
启动
five-year
推进
plan to
85
enhance the
普法规划。
public awareness of law
也
and
希
launched
望
the
在
eighth
座的这
five-year
个
plan
记者
to
朋友
raise
们
public
以及
awareness.
通过你们，使更多的人
And I
关
hope
注
that
普法
through
宣传，让
the
法
efforts
治成为社会共
of
识。
the press,
我们还进一步完善了
the
国家
public
统一
awareness
的
of law
法
could
律
be
职
further
业资格的
enhanced.
考试制度。
We also improved the national
同时呢，
legal
保障律
qualification
师参与
exam
诉讼
system
查看复制案件
and protected
调查
the
取证
rights of
等职业
lawyers to
权利
participate in lawsuits,
发展
view
壮
and
大
copy
律
case
师、
files,
公
and
证员、
investigate and obtain
司法鉴
evidence,
定人、
and
仲
further
裁员、
expanded
人民调
the
解
group
员
of personnel
等
engaging
这个
in
法
legal
律服务队
practice,
伍。
including lawyers,
法治社会
notaries,
的根基呢，将
arbitrators,
进一步
and
夯实。
people's mediators to further
我们也
cement
将
the
全面贯
legal
彻落实
basis
党的20大
of
精神，
society.
始终
We'll
坚持
continue
党
to
对
follow
人民
through
法
on the
治国的
spirit
集
of
中
the
统一领导，
party's 20th
积
National
极回应
Congress,
人民群众
uphold the
对
absolute
法治工作
leadership
的新期待、
of the
新要
Communist
求，
Party of China,
聚焦至
respond
重
to
点
the
领域和
people's
关键环节，
new requirements and new
履职尽责，
expectations,
用高质
play
量
our
的法治
due role
来
and
保
fulfill
护
our
高
due
质量的发展。
responsibilities
谢谢。
to provide sound legal support for sound economic development.
请
Thank you.
西区
Next
第
one.
3排左起第一位记者提问。
谢谢发言人。中新社、中新网
Thank
记者
you.
提问。
China
党
News
的20大
Service.
报告指出，
According to the
国家安
report,
全是民
national
主复兴
security
的
is the
根基，
bedrock of
社会稳
national
定是国家
rejuvenation,
强盛
and
的
social
前提。
stability
请问
a
公安机关
prerequisite
在
for building
维
a
护
strong
社
and
会安全
prosperous
稳定
China.
方
What
面有
does
什么样的
public
打算？
security
谢谢。
system have in mind to promote social
中新社
security
记
and
者
stability?
提的这个问题是公安机关的主责
This
主业。
question is the
我很乐意
concerns the
来
main
回答这个问题。
responsibility of the public security system.
党
I'm
的
more than
18
glad
大
to
以
take
来，
up your question.
全国
Since
公
the
安机关
18th CPC National
以
Congress,
习近平新
the
时代
public
中国
security
特色社
system
会主义思想
has
为指导，
followed closely Xi Jinping thought on
坚决
socialism
贯彻
with
落实
Chinese characteristics for a
习近
new
平总
era,
书记
firmly implemented
关于公安工作
General
的一系
Secretary
列
Xi
指
Jinping's
示要求，
important instructions and requirements on
扎实推进
public security.
平安中国
We have taken solid
法治
steps
中
to
国建设
promote peaceful China
严
and
密
advance the
防
rule of law in China,
严厉打
guarded
击敌对势力
against
的
and crack
渗
down
透、
on the
颠覆，
various kinds of penetration,
捣乱、
subversion, and sabotage conducted
严
by
厉打击
hostile forces at home and
侵
abroad,
害人民群众生
We
命
have
财产安全的
crack
各
down
类
on
违
the
法犯罪，
most serious crimes that arouse the
有力
strongest
的
public
捍卫
concern
了国家安全、
and effectively safeguarded national security,
社会安定。
social
保护了
stability,
人民
and
安宁。
protected the people's
我国
safety.
是命
China
案发案率
is among
最
one
低
of、the countries in the world with the lowest
刑事
homicide
犯罪率最低、
cases incidence and
枪
criminal
炮案
cases
件
incidents,
最少的
as well as
国
guns
家
and
资源
explosive crimes.
每10万人的命案
In terms of
是
homicide
0.07
cases, there is only
10年来
0.5 case per
刑事案件安全事故
100,000 persons.
项
In the past 10 years, the 5
大幅下降。
indicators concerning criminal cases and security incidents have
2021
dropped significantly.
杀
In
人
2021, the number of
强奸
registered cases
等8类主要刑事犯罪
falling into the 8 main
毒品
categories of
犯罪
criminal cases such as murder and
抢劫
rape,
抢夺案
and
件
those involving
盗窃案件的立案时
drugs, robbery,
和一次
and
伤亡
theft, and
3人
major
以上的
traffic incidents
较大
killing
的
more than 3
交通
persons
事故
fell from
2012年
the
分别下降了64%、
2012 levels by
56.8%
64.4%, 56%, 96%
和
62%
59.3%。
and 59.3% respectively. The people's
明显提升。
sense of security has increased substantially.
2021年
reaching,
根据国家统计局的调查，
according to the National
达到
Statistics
了
Bureau,
98.6%，
reaching 98.6% in
较2012
2021,
年提升了11个百分点，
11 percentage points more than in 2012.
成为世界
China
上
today
公
has
认的
become
最
one of
安
the
全的国家之一，
widely recognized safest countries in the world,
在为经济持续健康发展、
while creating a secure and stable social environment for the sustained
社会环境的同
healthy
时，
development of the economy,
全国公安机关
public security
坚
organs
持以人民
have followed
为
a
中心的发
people-centered
展思想，
development
主
philosophy,
动改革
taken the initiative to reform
治安管理，
and innovate with our
户口管理，
management services on public security, household
出入境管理，
registration, traffic,
围绕与人民群众
and
出行
targeting
办事息息相关的
those that
身份证、
concern people's daily lives
驾驶证、
most. The three
出入境
certificates,
证件
ID,
这三
driver's
大证
license,
件
and entry and exit
不断
documents,
优化，
we have continuously
流程手续。
improved our procedures,
革除环科限制，
cut down the
率先
unnecessary
推出了网
requirements.
上办、
We were among the
异
first
地
to
办、
offer
一门通
online
办、
services, cross-city
全国
access to
通办。
services, one-stop services, and nationwide
公安机关
access
负
to
责的
services.
60项
For the
行
60
政
items
许可
requiring
首需要的
administrative
审
approval
批
handled by public
和
security
颁发证件
organs, the average
办理的时间
processing
仅大
time
大短于
is
法定
much shorter than the legal limit.
一系列惠
A
民利
series
己
of
的
new
政策举
policies
措
and the measures that benefit the
极大
people
便利了
and businesses
广
have
大
brought
群众
great
的
convenience to the
学
public
习、
in their study,
工作
work,
生产和生活，
production, and life,
有力推进了
and greatly
投
energized
资、商贸、
investment,
创
business
新创业。
activities, innovation,
近5年来，
and entrepreneurship.
累计
In the past
为
5
群众
years,
节省
these
和
measures
减
have
负的
saved
成本达到了
more than
2200亿，
saved 220
还节省
billion
了
yuan
大
for
量
the
的
public
时间成本，
and also saved
惠及
a lot of
1
time,
万人民群众，
benefiting hundreds of millions of people.
经济持续健康发展，社会持
The
续
miracle of sustained
保持稳定。
economic growth and
这
social
2大奇
stability
迹，不是天上掉下来，
are not a gift from
也
anyone
不是坐等
or
得来的，
an effortless
是在以习
outcome.
近平同志为核心的党
They are
中央
earned with
坚
the
强领导
collective
下
dedication and hard work of
党
our
和
party and
人
our
民
people with Comrade Xi
拼出来
Jinping
的。
at its core.
在这艰辛的混斗历
Throughout
程中，
the hard
公
struggle,
安队伍
the public
付出了
security system has
极
made
大的牺牲。
tremendous
10
sacrifices.
年来，
In the past
全
10
国
years,
有3799名民警
3,799 police officers laid down their
公
lives.
安民警
More than 50,000 police officers were
充分彰
injured
显了公安队伍
in operation. This shows that the public security system is loyal to the party, dedicated to serving the people, impartial in enforcing the law, and are strictly
堪称
disciplined.
新时代党
They are
和人民的忠诚卫士。
The loyal guardians of the party and people in the new era.
国家安全是民族复兴的根基，
National security is the bedrock
社会稳定
of national rejuvenation,
是国家强盛的前
and
提。
social stability is a
这是习近
prerequisite
平总书记
for building a
在
strong and
20大报
prosperous
告当
China.
中做出的重大
This is
判断。
An important
新时代
conclusion
新征
reached by
程上，
General
全
Secretary
国
Xi
公安机关
Jinping in the
将
report.
认真贯彻
On the new journey and its
党的
new
20大
era,
精神，
the public security system
忠
will
实履行
carefully
党和人民
implement the spirit of the
鼓励
20th CPC National
新时代
Congress,
公安机关的职
faithfully
责使命，
discharge our mission and duty given to
坚
us
定
by
不
the
移地
party
贯
and
彻
people in the new
总体
era,
国家安全观，
firmly
全面
implement
落实
a holistic national
推进
security concept,
国家安全体系和能力现代化
push forward the
的新步
modernization of the national
新要
security
求
system and capacity
着力
in
防
line with the
范化
new
解
plans and
影响
requirements,
社会稳定的
guard against and
各类风险
dissolve all
隐患
kinds of risks and potential
常态化地
problems
开
that
展扫黑除恶，
endanger social security,
继续
carry out
集
regular
中
campaigns
打击
against the
整治
gang crimes,
群众反
take
映强烈
targeted
的
measures
突
to
出违法
counter
犯罪，
crimes that
更
arouse
加注重发
the
挥
most intense public
法治
concern give a bigger role to the rule of law, technology, and popular support. Pay more attention to reform the police system and strengthen the grassroots structures to make our work in the new era more tech-based, more innovative, and enjoy greater popular support. The goal is to be more precise in our actions, more efficient in our management, to provide better quality service, and make new contribution to safeguarding national security, social stability, and the people's interests. Thank you.
下一个问题，请中区第4排左起第2位记者提问。
谢谢主持人。中央广播电视总台
China National Radio.
我们注意到今年
We've
上半
noticed
年
that
最
in
高
the
检
first half
针
of
对
this
当前
year,
存在的
the Supreme
安全
People's
生产监
Procuratorate
管工作中突出的问题，
responded to
向有
outstanding
关部门
problems in
批
the
发了
oversight
8
of
号检
production
查建议。
safety
请问
with
作为国家法律监督机
Procuratorial
关和
Recommendation
司法
number
机关
8 to
检察机
relevant
关近年来
departments
在
issued.
推进
As
全民
national
法治
legal
国
oversight
和
and
增
judicial
进
organs,
人民
what
群
role
众
have
法治获得
Procuratoriates
感方
played
面
in
还有哪些进
comprehensively
展
advancing
成效？
law-based
谢谢。
governance and providing the people with a greater sense of fulfillment?
谢谢记者朋友们
Thank you,
对检察工作
friends
的
from the
关
press,
注关
for your
心和支
interest
持。
in and support for
党
the
的
work
18大
of
以
the
来，
Procuratorate.
习近平总书记
Since the 18th
对
CPC
检察
National
工作
Congress,
做出了
General
一系列
Secretary Xi
重要
Jinping
指示。
has made a series of important
去年
instructions
建党100
on
年前夕
procuratorial work.
党中央又
Last year,
专门制发
as we celebrated
中共中央
the centenary of the
关于加
Communist
强
Party of
新时
China,
代
the
检察
CPC
机关
Central
法律
Committee
监督
issued
工
the
作
opinions of the CPC Central Committee on
各级检察机
strengthening the
关
legal oversight
坚持
of
以习近平
procuratorial
新时代
organs in the new
中国特
era.
色社会主义思想
Under
为
the
指导
strong leadership
深入
of the
学习
CPC
贯
Central
彻
Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, we have
健全
followed the guidance of Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era and thoroughly implemented Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law. We have improved the new four-pronged paradigm of legal oversight on criminal, civil, administrative, and public interest litigation. Procuratorial work in the new era has been reshaped in terms of its functions, institutions, and mechanisms, and it has played a positive role in advancing the rule of law in China. We have attached great importance to the guidance of the vision of rule of law. Since the beginning of reform and opening up, the structure of China's criminal offenses have changed significantly. Serious violent crimes such as homicide and robbery have steadily declined,
危险驾驶
while
电信诈骗等
dangerous driving, telecommunications fraud, and other new crimes endangering the order of economic and social management has risen
根
sharply.
据这样的犯罪结构变化，
Given such a
检察
change
机关
in
在保
structure
持
of
对严
cases,
重刑事犯罪
we have, while strictly handling serious criminal
认
offenses,
真贯彻
earnestly
宽严
implemented
详谨刑事政
the
策
criminal policy of combining leniency with strictness and the criminal justice policy of fewer arrests, prudent prosecution, and prudent detention,
认罪认
and
罚
fully
从
applied
宽制
the
度
system of leniency for those who admit guilt and accept punishment, which have boosted social harmony. The pretrial detention rate for criminal cases has dropped from 69.7% in 2012 to 28.3% in the first 9 months of this year, which is a progress of the judiciary.
秉持客观公正立场，办理
With an
昆山
objective
法
and
律法
just
案
position, we have handled influential
正当防
cases
卫
such as the
有影响力的
Kunshan
案件
self-defense case,
向社会彰显
showing
不
to
能
the
向
public
不法让
that the
步
law
的理
cannot
念
give way to the
为
lawless.
公民见义勇为。
We have encouraged the people to act with
我们着
justice
力强化
and to promote
对
justice
诉讼
across
活动的
society.
法律监督。
We have
最
stepped
高
up
检会同公安部
legal oversight of
建立
litigation
侦查监
activities.
督与协作配合机制。
We have
目前
established
已建
a
立了
collaboration
3600
mechanism
多个
with other
协作办公室
departments And so far, 3,600 offices have been set up to promote stronger oversight and smoother cooperation under an investigation, supervision, and cooperation mechanism. From 2013 to September this year, we have launched 119,000 protests against criminal, civil, and administrative judgments that were deemed to be wrong. And we have stepped up oversight of punishment and other aspects of work. And through such oversight, we have worked to help the people see and feel that justice has been served in each and every judicial case. We have proactively performed our duties to take action at the source of the case. We have implemented General Secretary Xi Jinping's emphasis that establishment of the rule of law should not only focus on the end and treat the problem, but also focus on the front and take action before a problem emerges. The Supreme People's Procuratorate has summarized and analyzed judicial data and typical cases, focusing on issues such as campus security, manhole management, internet rectification, and production safety, as our friend from the press just mentioned. And we have issued procuratorial recommendations number 1 to number 8, promoting the combination of handling crimes and preventing them at the source. The report to the 20th CPC National Congress includes a line stressing that procuratorial organs will step up legal oversight. This is a first in the party's history, and it shows trust in us and, more importantly, expectation. We will thoroughly study and implement the spirit of the 20th CPC National Congress, adhere to the two establishments and ensure the two upholds, strengthen and improve our legal oversight work, and make new contributions to deepening law-based governance on all fronts and achieving Chinese modernization. Thank you.
请西区前排左起第3位女记者提问。
谢主持人，新京报记者提问。
Thank you. With the Beijing News. In July 2017, the revised Civil Procedure Law and Administrative Procedure Law established a public interest litigation procuratorial system. Some people believe that this system has added new substance to China's governance. As a representative of the public interest, what have Procuratorate done specifically? Thank you for your interest. I will take this question. Exploring the establishment of a system of public interest litigation brought by procuratorial organs is a major reform plan made by the 14th plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee. It is also an important part of promoting the modernization of governance. General Secretary Xi Jinping has emphasized that procurators, as representatives of public interests, shoulder important responsibilities. Under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee, the procuratorial organs have borne in mind General Secretary Xi Jinping's words, actively and prudently promoted the in-depth development of public interest litigation procuratorial work. Over the past 5 years, we have handled, on average, more than 140,000 cases in this regard each year, thus forming a uniquely Chinese plan for judicial protection of public interest. We have received attention of the international community. We have remained committed to serving the overall situation with the commitment of justice for the people. We have carried out special programs such as guaranteeing a bite of safety for Chinese households and public interest litigation for a better life. We have promoted the resolution of issues that bear on people's well-being, such as in the fields of ecological environment, food and drug safety, and production safety. We have worked with others to perform our duties and jointly protect public welfare. The Supreme People's Procuratorate clearly put forward the case handling concept of win-win for all. The most ideal state, we believe, is to achieve the purpose of safeguarding public interest before litigation. And we have proactively performed our duties through consultation and pre-litigation procuratorial recommendations. Over the past 5 years, 98% of administrative public interest litigation procuratorial recommendations have been effectively implemented prior to litigation. Where the procuratorial recommendations could not be implemented, 35,000 lawsuits were filed, among which 99.7% received the support of the court. In making all these efforts, we have worked to provide a model of rule of law. We have also earnestly implemented the decisions of the National People's Congress and made efforts to respond to the new demands of the people for public welfare protection. Over the years, public interest legislation has also steadily improved. In 2017, the Civil Procedure Law and Administrative Procedure Law were revised, which determined that procuratorial organs could initiate public interest litigation in 4 areas, namely ecological environment and resource protection, food and drug safety, protection of state-owned property, and assignment of state-owned land use rights. And since 2018, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress have revised and formulated relevant laws and added 8 new areas, namely the protection of heroes' rights and interests, protection of minors, protection of the honor, reputation, and rights of soldiers, production safety, personal information protection, anti-monopoly, anti-telecommunications and internet fraud, agricultural product quality and safety. Procuratorial organs at all levels have conscientiously implemented their responsibilities mandated by law and strengthened judicial protection of public interests in these new fields. Over the past few years, the share of cases handled in new fields has reached 20.7%. The report to the 20th CPC National Congress emphasized that the system of public interest litigation will be improved. We will resolutely implement the decisions and plans of the CPC Central Committee, continue to explore new practices, better perform public interest litigation procuratorial functions, and contribute to modernizing the system and capacity for governance. Thank you.
请东区第5排左起第1位记者提问。
谢谢主持人。香港中评社记者提问：我们知道保护知识产权就是保护创新哈，那能否具体介绍一下就是新时代人民法院在服务创新驱动发展以及加强知识产权司法保护方面取得了哪些进展？另外就是对于下一步的这个工作有哪些具体的打算？谢谢。
Thank you.
好，这个问题我来回答。
Thank you for your
感谢
question.
这位记者朋友。20大党的20大报告啊，强调要加强知识产权法治保障，加快实现高水平的
to enhance
自立自强
legal protection on IPR and to enhance high-level technological
习近平总书记
progress.
多次强调，创新
On multiple occasions, General Secretary Xi Jinping stressed that innovation is the primary driving force for development, and protecting IPR is protecting innovation. In the past decade, the People's Court has been protecting IPR in strict accordance with law and facilitating innovation-driven development and building China's strength in science and technology. We have done the following jobs. First, the scope and intensity of judicial protection have been expanded and enhanced. The IPR trial system covers the protection of copyright, trademark, patent, business secret, integrated circuit design, new plant varieties, and geographical identification, and also cases related to unfair competition and monopoly. We have witnessed an increase in the diversity of disputes. Since 2013, we have concluded over 2.8 73 million intellectual property cases, an average annual increase of 24.5%. Second, the capacity to drive innovation has been more robust. We issued judicial interpretations on the right of new plant varieties, the protection of business secret, and punitive damages to provide all-round protection. We protect the legitimate rights and interests of inventors and innovators in accordance with law and facilitate the high-level independent technological progress. We also crack down on counterfeiting, infringement, and other illegal crimes to promote innovation in the seed industry. And as we already issued opinions to serve the construction of a unified domestic market, the next step focus would be to implement the relevant opinions. We have also handled the cases related to e-commerce platforms, pick one of two practice, and big data discriminatory pricing. Some of the typical cases related to IPR protection in recent years have drawn public attention and will continue to strengthen protection of the legal rights and interests of employees and consumers in new industries to promote the healthy development of digital economy and platform economy. Third, the professional trial system protection mechanism have been more complete. The Intellectual Property Court of the Supreme People's Court, as well as the 4 intellectual property courts in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Hainan Free Trade Port, have been fully leveraged. And also the Intellectual Property Court in other areas. We stepped up the integrated reform of civil, administrative, and criminal trials of intellectual property rights, applied punitive damages to significantly increase the cost of infringement, and strengthened the mechanism for linking an administrative enforcement with justice, so as to enhance the ability to protect the whole process. Fourth, the international influence of judicial protection has continued to rise. We have protected the legitimate rights and interests of both Chinese and foreign IPR holders impartially in accordance with law, fulfilled our obligations under international treaties, deepened exchanges and cooperation with WIPO and others, and demonstrated our clear position on strict protection of intellectual property rights. More and more foreign companies have chosen Chinese courts to settle their disputes. Looking forward, we will give full play to the function of adjudication and serve the strategy to promote China's science and education. The People's Court plays an important role in this aspect and will continue to enhance judicial protection and serve the high-level independent technological progress. Second, we'll improve rules for the protection of IPR in big data, AI, and genetic technology, enhance justice in fighting monopoly and unfair competition, and promote the orderly and legal development of capital. We'll step up and coordinate the interaction between the legislative branch and the administrative and executive branch. Third, we'll make the judicial protection system more fair, efficient, science-based, clearly bounded, and complete. advance the building of the professional trial system. And fourth, will deepen international judicial exchanges and cooperation, and improve China's image and international influence as an impartial IPR protector.
西区第6排那位穿绿衣服的男士。
谢谢主持人。法制日报记者提问。
Thank you.
党的20大提出
In the report, it is said that administrative law enforcement will be strict, procedure-based, impartial, and civil across the board. How does the public security system embed the fairness and justice in all the procedures of law enforcement? Thank you. The 20th CPC National Congress has made new plans for promoting the rule of law in China and exercising law-based governance on all fronts. Let me share some information about our work in this area and our future plans. The public security organs across the country have thoroughly studied and implemented the Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law, stuck to the requirements of strict, procedure-based, impartial, and civil law enforcement, and continuously improve the rule of law in public security work, making our work more governed by the rule of law and enjoy greater credibility. In the past 10 years, working with the relevant departments, we have helped to make and amend anti-terrorism law, cybersecurity law, anti-organized crime law, and anti-telecom fraud law, and other laws and regulations that are closely related to public security work. Altogether, 10 laws and 15 administrative rules. We have also implemented and rolled out rules of work for the handling of criminal cases and administrative cases, 22 in total. We have also promulgated a number of rules, guide to action, and manuals to ensure that law enforcement in our system operates on the track of the rule of law. In our practice, we made sure that we fully discharge all legally mandated duties and handle all cases according to the law. We are improving our method of working and strengthening oversight and management over the whole procedure of law enforcement. We have promoted 5 mechanisms with great vigor. The first is to reform case filing system, to define clear deadlines for case handling, strengthen daily inspection and oversight so as to resolve the problems of delayed recording of cases and deviation from standard procedures. Second, audio and visual recording of on-the-ground law enforcement. We have provided with our frontline police officers more than 1.3 million pieces of devices for such recording to put on record all procedures and standardize their practices. Third, subject the whole procedure of case handling to oversight. We have established and launched into operation 3,027 law enforcement case handling centers in cities and counties across the country, basically covering all the registered cases and counties in China. As a principal, criminal cases are all handled in these centers. Fourth, we are promoting greater openness in law enforcement to enable maximum openness in terms of legal mandate, procedures, progress, and outcomes of law enforcement to ensure the public's right to know, participate, and to exercise oversight. Fifth, we have established accountability system for law enforcement to hold mistakes accountable in law enforcement and ensure lifelong responsibility for the quality of cases they handle, to ensure that those with powers have the corresponding duties, and abuse of power is held accountable. In the past 10 years, we have continuously increased political awareness and strictly managed the whole team and educated the public security team to minimize the problems of unfairness and lax practices. We have carried out extensive training across the system, having held more than 300,000 training sessions, which enhanced our police officers' sense of purpose, sense of the rule of law, their commitment to human rights protection, and enhanced their capacity for better law enforcement. We have seen a large number of strict, procedure-based, impartial, and civil cases of law enforcement that are impeccable and can be used as textbook cases. They have received widespread acclaim. So we have made tremendous progress and achieved great results. Going forward, the public security organs across the country will further study the spirit of the 20th CPC National Congress, stay guided by the Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law, stick to the requirements on advancing law-based governance on all fronts and promoting the rule of law in China, and promote strict, procedure-based, impartial, and civil law enforcement across the board, crack down on the activities of hostile forces in subversion, sabotage, and crack down on the crimes that arouse the strongest public concern, protect the legitimate rights and interests of the people in accordance with the law, deepen reform of law enforcement oversight and management, and improve the operation of law enforcement powers in accordance with the law, so that the values of fairness and justice is fully embedded into the whole procedure of law enforcement in our system, to make sure that the public can see that fairness and justice is in action in every case we handle and every matter we deal with. We will make new contribution to build a higher standard rule of law in China. Thank you.
下面我们提最后一个问题。好，东区第4排那位穿粉衣服的女士提问。
谢谢主持人。人民政协报、人民政协网记者提问。
CPPCC Daily. Following the implementation of the Yangtze River Protection Law, a much-watched draft protection law for our mother river, the Yellow River, has been completed and submitted to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress for deliberation. The report to the 20th CPC National Congress stressed the need to make further headway in making laws in a well-conceived and democratic way and in accordance with law. So going forward, how will this be further implemented in legislative work? Thank you for your question, and thank you for your interest in our work. As you just mentioned, this draft law has been submitted to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. That was last year, and now it is going to be reviewed for the 3rd time. In our work, together with other departments, we have carried out in-depth studies and solicited opinions. In particular, we have worked to implement the important instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping and the CPC Central Committee in making this draft protection law for the Yellow River. We've worked to promote its ecological protection and to provide a legal protection for such efforts. Administrative legislation is an important part of national legislation. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, the State Council has formulated, revised, and abolished 466 administrative regulations, among which 56 have been formulated and 46 revised individually, and 327 have been revised and 37 abolished as part of packages. You have seen in the report, the emphasis on making laws in a well-conceived and democratic way and in accordance with the law. So going forward, we will focus on implementing the spirit of the 20th CPC National Congress on ensuring and promoting social fairness and justice, and to give better play to the role of the rule of law, to stabilize expectations and bring long-term benefits. Next, we plan on doing the following. First, we will continue to follow the party's leadership over administrative legislative work. We will study and implement General Secretary Xi Jinping's important expositions on legislative work in a deep-going way, and implement the system and regulations on the party's leadership of legislative work. We will keep to the right direction, the right political direction in ensuring administrative legislative work. Second, we will effectively strengthen legislation in key emerging and foreign-related fields. Closely following the overall cause of the party and the country, we will promote legislation in important areas such as national security, scientific and technological innovation, public health, biosecurity, ecological civilization, etc. We will strengthen legislation that regulates the common behavior of governments and promptly revise or abolish the laws and regulations that do not meet the requirements of reform and development in the new era. Our focus is on making good laws to promote development and ensure good governance. Third, we will continuously improve the quality and efficiency of administrative legislation. We will focus on the practical issues and legislative needs and carry out in-depth investigation and research. We will solicit opinions extensively and provide solutions that can provide real solutions to the issues we face. We will improve the legislative project establishment, drafting, coordination, deliberation, and other mechanisms, steadily improve the precision of administrative legislation, and see that administrative legislation becomes even more pertinent, timely, systematic, and responsive. In addition, we will improve the legislative work mechanism, strengthen coordination among different departments, and make overall planning for relevant work on enactment, revision, abolition, interpretation, and codification, and advance the work in a holistic way. Fourth, we will proactively respond to the new demands and expectations of the people for legislative work. We will learn about the people's needs, seek their advice, and consult them on the effect of our work. We will also strengthen the system of having community and primary level bases to promote our work. We will expand the channel for the public to participate in legislation and ensure their rights to be informed, to participate, to be heard, and to oversee. We will keep improving the legal system necessary to meet the people's ever-growing needs for a better life, and strive to let the people feel that justice has been served in each and every legal system. Thank you. Thank you to our 5 delegates for coming today, and thank you to our friends from the press. This brings us to the end of today's press conference. Goodbye.
A live press conference in Beijing where CPC party officials briefed the media on the advancement of judiciary work in the past 10 years, all of which has aimed at improved law-based governance. I want to talk about that with my guest here in the studio. We have Professor Huo Zhengxing from the China University of Political Science and Law. Professor, thank you so much for coming and for staying with us throughout the press conference. I mean, it really gives you a sense of how the party has worked tirelessly to improve it and advance judiciary work in the past 10 years. With a clear aim to provide people with a better sense of security, safety, and justice. Professor, what stood out for you at that press conference, and how would you assess the party's judiciary endeavors in the past 10 years?
As a law professor and also as an ordinary Chinese citizen, I also feel the great achievements made in the field of rule of law in the past 10 years. And you know, the topic or the major topic of this today's press conference focused on rule of law, which suggests that the CPC, the ruling party of China, attached great importance on rule of law. And also notice that in the report submitted by Xi Jinping to the National Congress CPC, there are a number of sentences and paragraphs focused on rule of law. And the senior officials from the People's Court, from People's Procuratorate, from the Ministry of Public Security, and also from the Ministry of Justice, highlights the most important achievements made in the field of rule of law this morning. And many of these achievements are very impressive. For example, for ordinary Chinese citizens, we all feel a kind of a sense of security because the criminal offenses decreased in China. So with Chinese citizens, we feel that we are very safe everywhere in the city or in rural areas. And also a lot of new legislation has been passed. And from the perspective of People's Court, you can see that in recent years, the People's Court practiced the case filing register system. So the access to justice is more easily accessed by the common Chinese citizen. And also the problems of the difficult enforcement of judgment has been solved to a considerable degree. So as a law professor, I'm excited at the achievement made in rule of law.
For the sake of our international viewers that are watching this, China in recent years has strengthened legislation when it comes to foreign-related affairs. For example, a few years back, we had improved legislation on foreign investment here in the country in order to create a fair and just environment, not just for Chinese businesses, but for foreign businesses with an interest here in China. Can you elaborate on what China has done in terms of protecting the rights, for example, intellectual property rights and the rights of foreign businesses?
Well, you may notice that there is a particular sentence in the report to the National Congress of CPC. That is to say, the government or the CPC would promote the rule of law at domestic level and international level in a coordinated manner. This is because China is developing at very fast in recent years. On the one hand, China becomes a second largest economy in the world, and China's door to the outside world is opening wider and wider. So in order to maintain the confidence of the foreign investment and to manifest that China will continue its reform and opening to outside, China needs more law and legislation in this field. As you mentioned just now, China passed the foreign investment law to guarantee that foreign companies can be protected by the Chinese law. This is very important to improve the confidence of the international community, so to ensure that the Chinese reform and economic development in the future can be safeguarded by law. On the other hand, you may notice that China is facing more and more challenges from the outside world. China insists on peaceful rights, and China tries to promote the rule of law at international level. However, we find that some countries they attempt to contain China and block China. So China needs to enact more foreign-related legislation to safeguard its national security and national dignity. As you know that in last year, the Standing Committee of NPC, National People's Congress, passed the anti-secession law. The anti-secession law to safeguard China's national integrity and China's sovereignty. So I think that for this reason, nowadays the CPC attach more importance to improve the foreign-related legislation.
Professor, we appreciate your expertise and analysis as always. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And with that, we come to the end of this special coverage on the CPC's 20th National Congress. I'm Dong Shi. Don't go anywhere. News continues on CGTN.